Hey guys, I'm up early. It's like 9 a.m., but I really wanted to talk about this debate that I sat through. So, this is my just woke up voice, so don't say anything about it. Anyways, I just really need to talk about the 4 hours I spent last night listening to this debate. Now, if you're familiar with my content, you probably already know like what kind of things I'm going to be saying, right? You'll already know that for the most part I agree with Saint It Chief, right? You already know that. So, just going in, you already know that. I will say that there was some times where I was like nodding, like, I followed what Cactus Shash, how do you say it? Cactus, we're going to call him Cactus for the rest of this video. What Cactus was saying. There was sometimes I was nodding. I was like, okay, yeah, I can agree with, yeah, okay, yeah, yeah. But for the most part, this guy was in Headcanon Island. He was. And objectively, and I can prove that most of what he said was headcanon, literally just by addressing the fact that Isayama himself acknowledges in the final cast episode, chapter thing, the high school cast, that the mystery remains. The mystery of the story remains. So if you are to just, pretend like you know everything, it's headcanon. Because he acknowledges the fact that the mystery remains. In other words, you're supposed to still have questions at the end of this series. So I don't understand how, and now I think Cactus is a really intelligent person, right? He obviously is really, really intelligent, but he's playing dumb. Or he is, I don't know how to say this, but like, he's intelligent, but at the same time, he's the tangents, and it's like, it just comes off as very, very disingenuous. He did not address any of the points head on. And it's like, that's not even a debate at that point. That's listen to my story. That's an exchange of stories, basically. If you guys are both talking past each other, or if one person is talking past the other person keeps asking them to go back to the topic I brought up, address what I'm talking about. That's not a debate. It's a weird one-sided conversation. And that's kind of what I heard last night. It was awful. I've never seen a debate like that in my life. What it kind of reminded me of was Trump right before he became president. And he was just going on and on and on and on at the presidential debate. And he's like, Secretary Clinton? And it's like, can Secretary Clinton talk? Please, sir? And he's interrupting Lester. He's just, that's kind of that's the vibe I got. I was like, Jesus Christ. So first and foremost, Cactus comes off and says, we don't understand the story because we have a very westernized idea of the story. Now, let me fucking just ask, what is it that Isayama was inspired by, right? Okay, Love, that's Japanese, right? Berserk, right? That's also Japanese. Okay, but what about Guardians of the Galaxy? What about Game of Thrones? Hello? He's a big fan of Breaking Bad, too. Like, what are you talking about? How about the American movie Arrival? Right? How about Nordic mythology? Right? That's all Western. What are you talking about? That because we're from the West, we don't understand the story. That actually... Like, seriously, that actually makes no sense. Because we understood Death Note just fine. And there was Japanese nuance in that, right? And we still got it perfectly okay. There is so much Japanese nuance in Code Geass, whatever. Geese, Gas, whoever, what, who cares? There's so much Japanese nuance in that story, but guess what? We all understood it just fine. Because it's complete. Because it makes sense. The author intended for it to make sense. And Isayama straight up acknowledges the fact that the ending of Attack on Titan makes no sense. He said, first and foremost, he failed to convey the themes, okay? And then secondly, in the caste system, he acknowledges the fact, with his, quote, smartest character, Armin, right? He acknowledges the fact that the mystery remains. Like, I don't know how much more clear it can be that this story is unfinished or improperly wrapped up. He addresses it himself. So what's happening here is Cactus is arguing with the author himself. He's arguing with Isayama at this point. Anyways, I took notes while listening to this debate because I was like, if I'm gonna get I'm gonna get something out of this debate. Like I can't follow it for shit, and for my own sanity to be able to follow it, I was taking notes. One of the first things he brings up, right, is this whole the freedom debate, right? Oh my god, that's another thing. Let me just address that really quick. If you're having a debate, it will literally take years. That's why this was 4 hours. Because we have to sit here and define every single fucking term. Cactus got caught up on literally every word, right? Like, which I get it with freedom, kind of, right? Like, if you're talking about this show, you kind of do need to define what you view freedom as. But every damn word? Jesus Christ. But anyways, let's get to the first one. So this first point was this whole thing about internalized versus external freedom. He brings out these, like, peer-reviewed, like, like, essays about, like, human nature or whatever. And it's like, if I need to read peer-reviewed essays, if I need a literature to be able to understand the story did not convey the themes in that literature, in those peer-reviewed essays, well. It did not address it well if I have to do prior research to understand the story. Or if I have to do post-research to understand the story. That is not a good story. If I need resources to understand the story is not good. Period. So then they have to go, and of course they have to define what slavery is, right? Obviously, we know what that is. Okay. First of all, with freedom, right? They talk about the different types of freedom in this story, right? Armin has this freedom of, like, mind, I guess. He has this, like, pure view of freedom. This unrealistic kind of utilitarianist kind of, like, view of freedom where, like, he can just frolic around and look at the flowers and he's free. He's fine enough doing that. He is happy just being with his friends, just frolicking around, right? That is Armin's view of freedom. Eren acknowledges that he has a different view of freedom. His view of freedom is, as said in the debate, a physical kind of freedom. Not, being able to go where he wants. Being able to see a blimp without being eaten by dogs. Being able to leave the walls. Being able to do literally whatever he wants, being able to explore the world. Let's add that in there. That is freedom. That Eldians, that the Paradisians do not have. That is what Eren wants. So he is bored and unsatisfied because he is trapped behind these walls. These walls are a bird cage to him. And how are you gonna say that that's like free? Like, I just can't. I did not follow the debate at this point. Like, I didn't follow Cactus right here. He is literally trapped behind walls. Of course he is bored. Because he is not like Armin. He can't read a book and be fine enough, like, leave well enough alone. Like, oh, okay, here's this book. What a grand escapism. Let's run together. Let's play tag. Look at this leaf. Let's feed a squirrel. This is freedom to me because I'm by you, Eren. That's kind of Mikasa's, like, whole deal, right? Like, I won't say it's freedom to her, but, like, that's her deal. She's fine if she's just by Eren, right? That's kind of Armin's deal. He's fine, picking leaves. He's fine feeding squirrels. That's freedom to him. He's happy because he's with his friends. It's not good enough for Eren. So when he gets to the ocean, yeah, he achieved that thing he wanted to do, him and Armin, but even Isayama addresses the fact that freedom just changed. Freedom is... They have different views of freedom. The ocean may represent freedom to Armin because he's with Eren and Mikasa, but the ocean represents another battle that Eren has to take. Because across the ocean, people want to kill him. Armin has this, like I explained, this, like, docile, like, ignorant, like, childish view of freedom. Or as long as my mind is free, right? Because they kept saying that in the debate. As long as my mind is free. If I'm free in my mind, then I'm free. Which makes absolutely no sense. Like Saint brought up, like, if you're a chattel slave, right? Which is, the history of black people in this country. If you're a slave and another slave comes up to you and says, when I go to sleep at night, I'm free. When I hold my daughters, I'm free because they make me happy. Is that person a slave or are they free? That person is a literal fucking slave. That is not freedom. Now, there's a difference in mindset, right? But that person still has to get up, like Saint said, and pick the cotton, and push the barrel, and mow the whatever, and pick the corn, and sow the thing, and breastfeed the fucking white infants and whatnot, right? I would argue that person is even more of a slave because they don't even desire their own freedom. They don't even know they're a fucking slave. That's slavery in of the mind. You think that's freedom? That's contradictory. If you're not even aware of your actual circumstances, you're a bigger slave than someone who's miserable being a slave. You're not gonna school a black American on what slavery is and what freedom is. It's not gonna happen. It'll never happen. And then Cactus says, if you're mentally free, then what part of you is a slave? That's literally what brainwashing is, mental servitude, to the point where you don't even know you're a slave anymore. That's what Gabby was. We know what slavery is. We know what freedom is. And then he tries to equate, like, freedom to happiness and whatnot, like, dude, that's a whole nother word. Like, oh my god, that debate was just terrible. Let me give you an analogy. There's 2 cows on this farm. Come wintertime, they will both be slaughtered for hamburger meat, right? For people. The 2 cows are just eating grass, whatever. One cow is like, wow, I am so free. I get to wander these plains. I get to eat grass. I get to whatever, just until I get to the fence. But I am so free because I am so happy to eat grass with you, my cow friend. That cow is a fool. That cow is not free. That cow is delusional. That cow is Armin. Aaron is the cow that realizes the bullshit. Hey, I am trapped. I would like to not be on this farm. I would like to eat grass over there. He is freer than the cow who is happy in these circumstances. To prove his points, Cactus brings up Japanese literature. Japanese, like, folklore. Like, Japanese death poems. Like, if I have to read all of that stuff to make sense of the story was never good. If I need to be well versed in Japanese death poems, if I need to be well versed in peer-reviewed essays about human nature, about Lord of the Flies, about freedom versus whatever, then this story's not good. Now, we do hit some philosophical points in the story, right? Like Kenny whole slave thing, right? Like, we do get bits and glimpses to this, to the philosophy of the story, but in Cactus's mind, with his logic, you have to literally ignore some of the dialogue in favor over philosophical structures, over philosophical ideas. That's not good storytelling. I'm supposed to ignore what I'm physically seeing and what I'm reading in favor of a Japanese death poems, like, theme? I really just didn't get it. This dude was out here reading haikus and to explain why this is this and this is that. Sir, it wasn't conveyed well in the narrative, and that's why you feel as though it's necessary to read these death poems to us. That's why you feel it's necessary to bring up your peer-reviewed essays. Like, I don't get how you're not following. You would not have to do all of that if the story spoke for itself, and if it was good enough by itself. You would not have to jump through all of those hoops. You would not have to go on those long-ass tangents that doesn't even answer the question Saint has. You wouldn't have to do all of that if the story was good, and if it could speak for itself, which it cannot, and Isayama even addresses that. So, I don't know, argue with him. This dude, like, literally rewrote Attack on Titan before our eyes. He literally rewrote the entire series before our eyes. Like, I've never seen it done before. So the next thing I wrote down was they talked about, like, moral high ground, right? The whole Connie killing Daz and Samuel thing, right? Of course, we have to, get into the semantics. We have to get into what does unarmed mean? What does defenseless mean? And the fact still remains, no matter what Cactus can say, the fact still remains that the Paradisian members of the Alliance, right, Connie, John, whatever, they are preaching that killing people is not the answer and talking is a way to solve problems. They are preaching that it is wrong to just kill people without trying to work something out, right? That is why the genocide is wrong, because there are people that haven't even had the chance to talk or whatever, right? And so you have, what, Sam? Or who was it, Daz? I forgot. I don't fucking know. Who cares? You have fucking, I'll say it was Daz. Who cares? No, I think it was Samuel. It was Daz. Okay. You have Daz literally begging for his life under Connie. He's disarmed, and he quite literally is defenseless, and he's begging for his life. Connie puts 3 holes in his face. Why? To prevent him from, if he got up and got another gun, then he could probably hurt one of the Alliance members. Oh, what, like the rest of the world could do to Paradis? So where is the moral high ground? If they're morally superior for stopping a genocide because these people didn't get a chance to talk, because these people maybe could change their mind about Eldians, what makes Connie a better man, a better soldier after killing Daz once he's disarmed and he's begging for his life? And then we get into this whole thing about, oh, what else could he have done? And as Saint Chief said, he could have shot his hands. He could have thrown him in the ocean. There's so much more he could have done. Like Saint Chief said in a prior video, if you're watching Superman, right? Superman, whose whole philosophy is humanity should not fight, right? So when he beats the bad guy, he never kills the bad guy. He never kills the bad guy because then he is just like the bad guy, killing people for, whatever your purpose is. If you're going to kill someone for your own purpose, for your own benefit, you are no better than someone else who kills someone for their own benefit, right? In the Batman, let's bring it up, right? In the Batman, Catwoman is about to kill her father or whatever, right? And Batman's like, don't do it. You'll be no better than him. You'll be no better than him. So we don't get it because Western media, Isayama is the biggest lapdog for Western superhero movies. So he understands how this morality thing works. He gets it. He loves the Avengers movies. And do they go around killing people? Or do they disarm the villain and stop them? Now that I actually wouldn't know because I don't watch Avengers movies, but you tell me. Because the whole morality behind a superhero is that they are better. They want to put a fresh foot forward. Instead of killing you, Daz, I'll give you the chance to be better. Because I'm morally superior. I will not stop. I won't end your life because of the harm you could cause me. Because you could be better. But instead, that's not what he does. He does exactly what Eren does in conducting the rumbling. He protects his immediate people by eliminating the threat. Oh, Daz could pick up another gun and what? And kill Armin? So kill him? So it's kill or be killed? Okay, so it's the rumbling. Thank you. Anyways, moving on. Before we move on, I just wanted to say that if we're going to bring philosophy into this fucking series, let's talk about the philosophy of a hero. Like I was saying with Superman, the philosophy of a hero is to eliminate the threat without killing them, to put a fresh foot forward. If the Alliance is saying that Eren is wrong for doing the rumbling, eliminating threats by canceling their lives, genocide basically, then they should not eliminate threats by ending people's lives. They should put a fresh foot forward and find a way to de-escalate the situation without killing anyone, or else they are hypocrites. And it's that simple. In killing the Jaegerists, they prove that talking is useless and the only way to get things done is to kill people. Which is Eren's rumbling in a nutshell. But the story wants you to think that they're heroes. They want you to think the Alliance are heroes and that they're doing the right thing. And this is bad writing because they're acting hypocritically. So let's talk about all the philosophy here. Let's not just pick and choose. Let's not cherry pick the philosophy. Talk about all of it. Now we can move on. Next, Cactus has this whole argument that everything is subjective, right? Bringing up philosophy, da-da-da-da. At that point, the series has literally no meaning. If I could make a meaning out of anything any character says that isn't what they're explicitly saying, that isn't what's explicitly written, the series altogether has no meaning. And that's what I said when I was reacting to the Invaders video. Once you boil it down to philosophy, things start to lose their meaning. You don't realize it. You think you're adding meaning by saying everything is subjective. No, you're actually taking away the meaning from the actual text itself. If I say a bird is red, and you decide to use philosophy and break down everything I said, that sentence, a bird is red, that objective fact loses its meaning. Well, what is a bird? Well, a bird is a part of the... What? It's not a mammal. No, it lays eggs. But a bird is anything that lays eggs with wings and feathers and birds fly. Okay, so if a bird is that, what makes an ostrich a bird? Well, it can't fly, but it lays eggs and it looks like a bird. What does it mean to look like a bird? Well, if you have feathers, you just break it up. What is red? It's the first color in the rainbow, red, right? Okay, well, what makes red a fact? Is my red your red? Do we see the same red? Oh, well, no, because the rods and cones in everybody's eyes is different. So, okay, so if we can't agree on the same red being red, then what makes a bird red? Do you know what I mean? Do you follow me? When you put philosophy into things, if you pick it apart too much, it loses its meaning. And that's literally what Cactus did. I could do that to the series too and come up with an entirely different story. Did you know that Attack on Titan is a series about a guy with schizophrenia? Eren Yeager has schizophrenia. Nothing ever happened in the series. Everything is just a figment of Eren's imagination. That's why every time he, quote, gets a vision, he stands up abruptly and he's like, it can't be, right? Because he has schizophrenia. And that's why Mikasa's scarf is red, because it signifies the hope that, maybe he'll break into reality. Mikasa tries to break Eren into reality all the time, but it just doesn't work, right? Eren has schizophrenia. He thinks people are out to get him. Actually, no one's out to get him. And the rumbling didn't really happen. None of that really exists. The whole story is just, Eren having schizophrenia. That's why he's a kid in Paths, right? During the Freedom panel, because he's just having this psychotic break. Eren has schizophrenia. The whole Attack on Titan is a series about a guy with schizophrenia. And all the characters we know are like doctors and scientists who visit Eren in the hospital and try to cure him from his episodes, right? That's why Hanji, he freaks out on Hanji when they strap him down. He's not actually behind bars. He's not actually like in jail, right? He's in a hospital, and when they strap him down on the bed, he snaps on Hanji because he's having these fucking episodes. Hanji's his doctor. That's what Attack on Titan's about. And I have proof. I could back it up with panels. That's why Kenny says everyone's a slave, right? Kenny acts as Eren's conscience, and he's telling Eren that, he's a slave to his disorder. Now, can you technically prove anything that I said wrong? Can you find a panel that says Eren does not have schizophrenia? In fact, it would make sense, because in 139 itself, Eren says, my head was just all messed up. He was having a psychotic episode. The entire series. Nothing in the series happened, actually. He's in a hospital. Or, fuck, we could even say that the entire series is Mikasa's own imagination. Whatever you want. You can literally, if we're to look at the series as completely abstract, and we can ignore the words and the panels that are in the book itself, this series could mean anything to anybody. But we don't do that. And people dig on us for taking everything so literal. But that's why it's written in there. If we take everything as this abstract Japanese symbolism or abstract idea, it's not literal, it's the idea behind it. These words, of course they're put together in a sentence like this, but they don't mean what the sentence means. It doesn't mean a bird is red. It means the idea of a bird it makes you mad. It's angersome, right? Red the feeling. The idea of freedom, it makes you angry. A bird is red. The idea of freedom makes you so mad. That's what it means. Like, no, bitch, it means a bird is red. That's what it says on the page. And I'm looking at a red bird, and you're going to tell me that it's a metaphor? You're going to tell me that since I'm not versed in Japanese poetry, that I don't understand what the sentence "a bird is red" means. A bird is red means that this bird on the page that I'm looking at is fucking red. Like, damn. Could literally turn the series into anything if we're to take everything abstractly. Did you know that Mikasa, Eren, and Armin are all orphans at this orphanage, and all of the adventures they go on are just like, the story stops being like things that are actually happening when Armin opens the book. Yeah, they're all just at an orphanage, and Armin, he opens the book, and what they're reading is a story from then on out. But Eren self-inserts as the main character who does the rumbling. Yeah. But nothing actually really happens in the book. And at the end, that's why Eren is a kid, in Paths. That's why he says freedom above those clouds. Because when he's reading the book, he's having a break from reality in the book. He can't differentiate which one is Eren in reality and which one is Eren in the book. So, yeah. That's what Attack on Titan's actually about. That's why Kenny says everyone's a slave to something. Eren is a slave to the book, and he's a slave to the character in the book. So that's what Attack on Titan was about. You're wrong. And let me cite this this Nordic mythology thing to show you why you're wrong. Okay, Attack on Titan can literally be anything. Then he says that the Titan curse ended, right? It does not end. It does not end. It's dormant. Which means that the next person who falls into that tree is going to activate the 9 Titans. Once again, Eldians, they're damned. Nothing changed. And then Paradis is blown up at the end. And I don't know how he tried to weasel around that, but that's just a fact. That's the fact of the matter. The Titan curse is not gone. Isayama made it a point to draw that tree that way. Are we going to say that the tree is a fucking symbol again? Are we going to say the tree is just a symbol of life being grown? Like, bitch, stop. Look at the panel. I literally need, at this point, I need you to just look at the panel. Look at the story. Not everything is a metaphor. Damn. Like, shit. And, like, I can agree with the fact that, like, Invader's video had a lot of fucking philosophy in it, but there is a philosophical nature to Attack on Titan. But it's not 80%. Wink wonk, whatever. It's not, like, to the degree that, that Cactus was saying. It's not to the degree that Invaders was saying, right? But it's not to the little amount that I thought previously. I thought it was like, philosophy was like maybe like a 10% kind of thing. Maybe it is 20 or 25. Maybe it is 30. Okay, we'll stop at 30. But there's 70% of shit that's literally going on in the story that you have to address. You have to address the literal nature of what's going on in the story. And then we get this whole Ymir was gaining agency thing. Like, I don't know what the fuck he was talking about with that. Like, show me, if you can pull up a panel of Ymir thinking to herself and then changing her mind after Eren frees her. If you can show me a fucking panel like that, maybe I'll buy it. Show me a panel where she's thinking about her actions, where she's thinking about the rumbling, and she's like, you know what, maybe this wasn't the right idea. Show me a panel like that, and then maybe I'll hear you out. Because it's not in the story. It's not. And it's a writing decision not to draw her thinking face. Maybe this is wrong. It's a writing decision. So if he was intending on having it be seen that she changed her mind, we would have seen that. He would have drawn that. That's easy. It's a face. Instead, we don't get that at all. And then, of course, we have to get into this whole defining agency thing. Like, fuck. You know what agency is. We all know what agency is. Being able to make your own choices. And Ymir has it. And Ymir did want to live. She desired and she cared about her life. That's why she runs away. It is not instinct to run away. That's not an instinct. It's an instinct to flinch. Flinching is an instinct. Running away is a choice. The choice is self-preservation. She did not want to die. That is why the Titan body formed, right? Right. She didn't want to die, and that's why the hallucigenia connects to her back. She didn't want to die. That's agency. That's agency. That's a desire for life. It's in the story. It's written. Or what? Was that a metaphor? I think he did say that. I think he said her running in the flowers is a metaphor for, like, some stupid thing. I don't know. What the fuck, bro? Holy shit. Like, oh my god. Another thing. She did not create paths. She did not create paths at any point. She never created it. Paths was created when Fritz got his daughters to eat her body. She is surprised when she's in there. It's in the panels. See, this is the thing with these people. They ignore parts of the manga in favor of other parts, and then they twist it into, Japanese literature, into this philosophical theory, into this key point of ideas, right? They shift everything. They literally discredit its literal meaning. If anything, they're disrespecting Isayama. We're more aligned with what Isayama thinks, because he thinks he failed to convey the themes. We think that too. Isayama says that the mystery remains. We think that too. So you saying the work is complete, you're disrespecting Isayama. And you disagree with him. So debate Isayama. You tell Isayama how he didn't fail to convey the themes. You tell him that. Don't tell us that. Tell Isayama that he did not fail to convey the themes. Tell Isayama that the mystery does not remain. You go do that, and then, based on that, then we'll have a conversation. Like, we're reading the same story. We watched as Eren embraced her and freed her, and for the first time in her life, she did not follow the royal command. That is agency, that is freedom. Eren freed her, objectively. Objectively. There was no extra vision. Eren did not have some extra vision when he touched her, despite what people who watched Eren is not free would think. And you can tell this guy watched Eren is not free. I can tell he watched that. I heard it. I felt it. Like, bro, they came up with all these contingencies about his power that were never explained. And then while we're on that point, let's get to Eren freed the pigs. What the fuck? We were not reading the same fucking story. How the fuck did Eren... Oh my god. Think about how stupid this is. Think about how stupid this is. Eren freed the fucking pigs. Think about how dumb that is. Think about how that doesn't work at all. Eren freed the pigs. Yet, when he gets into paths, not only is he confused, so on and so forth, when he hugs this bitch, he says, "Is it you that led me here?" If Eren freed the pigs, he led her to him. Hello? Hello? If Eren freed the fucking pigs, and if he set this entire story in motion, he led Ymir to him. So then you tell me why he asked her if she led him there. If he freed the pigs. If he set in motion the entire story, he even influenced Ymir's backstory somehow. How, you tell me how that's Ymir leading Eren to her. Explain that to me. Explain that to me. Next thing you know, you're gonna tell me that it was Eren's little test to see if Mikasa would kill him. That had nothing to do with Ymir at all. If Eren led Ymir to himself, then the test is also his. He wants to see if Mikasa would kill him. Which, coming out of my mouth, if you can't tell that makes no sense, you're burnt up. Like, you're burnt up. I don't know what to say. It's possible. It's possible to understand every facet of a fucking story, to know where the author was trying to go, to understand it, to get it, to get, to fucking get the guap, right? To understand everything and not like it. And think it was done poorly. And have examples where it was done better. These are possibilities. And to have this guy that can't even acknowledge at least one point where something was weak and could have been fleshed out a little bit more. When the author himself said that he failed to convey the themes, you already know that he's arguing in bad faith. That he is being disingenuous. You already know. You already know, because there is no author on this planet that 100% nailed it. In any form of any media ever, you can pick out at least one or two things that miss the mark. In Breaking Bad, I'm sure there's a couple things that miss the fucking mark. And that's revered as one of the most satisfying stories of all. You go ahead and argue with Isayama. You go ahead and tell him that you understand his story more than he understands it. Because he said the mystery remains. And us on the, quote, ending hater side, we believe that the mystery remains too, because this shit's just not adding up. It's not making sense. Like, when I'm getting to what I was beginning to see, on hour, 2 of this debate, was that he would rather argue the meaning of words than argue about plot points. And that told me everything I needed to know. He deflected so much, he went on roundabout tangents, dancing around the point. What I honestly think his goal was to have Saint lose his train of thought. So he would have to be like, what? What do you mean? I don't get what you're saying. Right? That's why he was blabbering on and on and on. Because who wouldn't get lost at that point? He's going off on a tangent about Japanese literature and like whatever else, when fucking Attack on Titan has the most resemblance to Game of Thrones, which is Western. Hello? And towards the end, you know, he wanted to bring up interviews a little bit, right? But Saint was like, no, let's not talk about interviews. Let's stick to the narrative itself, right? But in interviews, he said towards the end of the story, he really got into Marvel movies. And it's obvious with the whole we're gonna go save the world Alliance bullshit that was his inspiration. So you tell me what in Japanese literature, what it has to do with the ending, like with saving the world and whatnot, with civil war, with this and that, us or them. Like, aren't these just universal themes? Are these not universal themes? That's why Attack on Titan is global. That's why it relates to people on a global level, because we all can relate to the themes of the story. It's not some Japanese in a vacuum bullshit. Like, it's not. That's not what it is. That's not what it's been presented as. That's not what it is, I guess, until the final chapter. Because apparently you understood it. And then something that was really convoluted that he was saying, that I actually understood what he was saying. I don't agree, but I understood what he was saying. When he said that Mikasa killing Eren is the first thing that he experienced in real time, you know, that for himself in real time. I understood what he was saying right there, because if everything, past, present, and future was all happening at once, and he didn't know what Mikasa would do, what her choice would be, then her killing him would be the only thing he experienced in real time, right? But, you know, even if everything was happening at once, that doesn't fucking prove any point. Like, that it's still shit writing. It's shit. It's bullshit. It's not satisfying to think that Eren was just fuzzy-wuzzy in the head, and that's why the story happens, because he was fuzzy-wuzzy in the head. Like, nobody wants to read a story like that. And this guy merits that Eren is just this dumbass the entire series. We see him go from... He was never dumb. In the entire series, Eren was never dumb. He was naive. He was naive and he was trusting. And he learns throughout the series to put that wall up. Or was the forest of big trees, the Levi choice scene, was that all just some metaphor for something in Japanese literature? Are we going to break down the major points of the story to some big convoluted metaphor in Japanese literature? So it's not like this universal thing that everyone can relate to. Oh yeah, I made a really bad decision once, and yeah, blah, 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 blah. Like, this, so now no one can relate to it but Japanese people. Okay. It's through that choice scene, taking that shit literally. It's through the choice scene in the forest of trees with Levi when Eren makes the wrong choice that he learns in order to stop the most amount of deaths, he has to trust himself and he has to take shit into his own hands and stop what he deems as the evil himself rather than relying on other people. He learns that in that scene. Literally. But literally, to say that all of the shit was a metaphor is to take away the entire story. The story is shittier than I thought then. If all of this is... Which is not, right? Like, that's me if I'm ascribing to what this guy believes. If all of this shit, the entire series, was some big Japanese metaphor for fate and I don't even know whatever the hell else, then the story was always shit. I thought it was universal for going against, you know, destiny or whatever. The weak man rising and taking charge and trying to make a difference for his shitty ass situation. I thought it was a universal story about slavery and about breaking free from that and about what cycles of hatred do, where they lead you. Nowhere. To a path of huge destruction that destroys everything and everyone. That's what I thought the series was. I thought it was universal. I thought it was for everyone to relate to. Not just people who are well versed in, you know, Japanese death poems and literature on, I don't know, scholar articles about Lord of the Flies and the nature of man and all this bullshit, bro. You know, I like this notion that Eren is the story. I did like that. I thought that was pretty cool. You know, the Attack Titan, Shingeki no Kyojin. Like, yeah, we get that. But Eren is not the one who set in motion the story. Ymir did. And I think he even says that at some point. Correct me if I'm wrong. I am pretty sure. Oh, no, he says that to Grisha. Grisha started this story. Eren's influence did not make Grisha want to see the blimp with Faye that day. That was not Eren. That was Grisha. And that's explained to us. Now, was he lying? What? Eren was lying the entire story. That is the weakest ass pull ever. To make the main character of your story an unreliable narrator at the very end of the story is the weakest writing I've ever seen. And it literally is just a fucking lifeline, save me button to plug up any plot holes that might arise. Garbage writing. Garbage. And I don't even say that. I literally don't. Like, look at my videos. I never say garbage writing, but if that's what the story was supposed to be, trash. And I can tell he watched Eren is Not Free because he, you know, ascribes to these same thoughts that were presented that the founding powers work a certain way when it's not really explained how they work. Like, there's no definites. Oh, the paths is a paradox. Okay, it can be. Yeah, sure. But it's not described that it's this contingent ass, like, this cog has to work with this cog, or else this cog doesn't work, or this cog... It's not gone into depth. It's not. Like, it just objectively isn't. Oh my god, like, I still can't get over Eren freed the fucking pigs. No, he did not. What the fuck? I can't get over that. Like, oh, it was you who led me here. Even though I made you free the pigs and I set in motion literally everything. What, did he also fucking tell Fritz to create paths? Did he also influence that to get the story started? Like, oh my god, stop. If he influenced Ymir to free the pigs, big fucking risk there, because Fritz could have just killed her ass. Any hunter in the woods, instead of shooting those arrows at her leg, they could have got her heart. They could have got anything. They could have killed her. So if he got Ymir to free those pigs, he could have damned their whole bloodline. There would be no fucking Eldian bloodline. The fuck are you talking about? And then he goes on this whole arrogant spiel about, like, Eren made himself the villain and, like, whatnot. Like, for this stupid, dumbass plan. Eren's stupid, by the way. That's, like, what he says. He's like, Eren is dumb, and, you know, to him, leaving the future of Paradis to Armin is not leaving it to chance, right? And then Saint immediately refutes this by him having a fucking backup plan in season 1 when the red-haired war general, whatever the fuck guy, is like, oh, we're gonna cannon you to death, you know, like, if you fucking transform. And Eren's like, do you think you can talk us out of this situation? If you can't, I'll transform and, you know, I'll grab you guys, we'll run out of here. And Armin's like, no, I can do it. And then Armin tries and fails, and it's Pixis's authority that saves their life that day. Power and authority. Now, metaphor guy, what do you think that's a metaphor for? Talking solves shit. It is power and authority that changes shit in this world of Attack on Titan. Power and authority. That's all that changes shit. Like, even in the recent episode, Armin gets shot in the mouth when trying to talk things through. So what? What's the metaphor there? What's the abstract lesson from that? Being shot in the mouth while trying to talk. You know, Eren and his rumbling. Power and authority. That's what gets shit done in the series. Talking has never worked. Never. Until the last chapter. Somehow. Absolute BS. Garbage writing. Themes completely destroyed, you know, all led nowhere, garbage. I can't even remember the point he was trying to make by saying that Eren made himself the villain, like, in da-da-da-da-da, right? And, like, and he said something about the reason why Eren brought Paradisians and Eldians of the world into paths. He said he was making himself the villain in that moment. How? How? By giving Paradisians the biggest reason in the world not to kill him. How is he then making himself the villain? How is he then uniting the world? Telling Paradisians, I am rumbling for you. The world wishes to kill you all, so I am doing something about it. That's him uniting the world against him? What the fuck? Like, literally, really think about that. Him telling Paradisians and Eldians across the, sea, I am rumbling to protect the people of Paradis, whereas if I did not, the entire world wants you dead. I reject this wish. That is why I'm rumbling. Do you think that would make it easier to kill him or harder? I want to say harder, because he's giving them a reason not to. Your lives are contingent on this rumbling. Kill me, your lives are left up to chance. And what does the Alliance do? They kill him. So now people on Paradis hate the Alliance. To be able to conduct the rumbling in the first place, Eren and Flock turn Paradis into a military state. The rest of the 20% of the world hate Eldians, which is why Isayama draws the bombing of Paradis. It didn't work. Now, there's no wriggle room. There's no way to skirt around that issue that it did not work. Eren's plan failed. Oh, but he didn't know it would fail. That's what Cactus said. He didn't know it would fail. In his mind, he did everything correct. What the fuck? No. The whole series is flipped on its head at the end, at the last chapter. Everything we saw him learn, it's like he just forgot it all. Like, what the hell? And then the last thing I want to talk about was the fact that he has this notion that Eren thinks that leaving Paradis in Armin's hand is not leaving it up to chance. That's not true. That is not true. It's actually quite literally a retcon. That's literally it. There is no way to skirt around that. There is no way to, tiptoe around that. Eren tells Pixis the world will never unite over a common enemy. Oh, 139, that's exactly what he tries to do. Makes absolutely no sense. I learned in the Forest of Trees that things go best when I take matters into my own hands and try to defeat the enemy myself. Oh, 139 flips that on his head. No, he didn't learn that. Things go the best when he leaves it to his friends, right? Which is why Levi's squad died, right? It's just all bullshit. Armin, if you can talk me out of the situation, good. But if you can't, then I'm just going to transform and I'll get you guys out of here. Like, that's how this is going to work right now. Armin's like, I'll do it. I can do it. And then he goes and he tries, right? Doesn't work. Guy's about to fire. Pix is like, hey, stop. Come on, bro. Don't do it. That's what saves Eren. Power and authority. If he thought talking would work, he wouldn't have done the rumbling in the first place. And I think Saint says that even. If he thought talking would work, there would be no reason to do the rumbling, right? Like, make it make sense. Like, to say the series made sense, accepting the fact that the series made sense and whatnot, would be to say that Eren learned nothing throughout the entire series. He learned absolutely nothing. Levi taught him nothing. He learned nothing during the choice scene. He learned nothing ever. He learned nothing from Reiner. He learned nothing. He's dumb. And he was acting. All of his character development is literally a big show he was putting on for the audience. And if that is true, then sure, I can make sense of that. I can make that, look, that makes sense in my head. I understand that. But it's shit writing, and it's a terrible story. The final battle, where hate has led the world, is just this big theater performance. That is terrible. That is the most anticlimactic thing I've ever picked up and read in my entire life. There is no stakes in that. Jean and Connie immediately regain their personhood. Gabby, Annie's father, whatever. Everybody gets what they want except for Paradisians. Except for Eren. Well, I guess, by this logic, Eren gets what he wants, right? Terrible story. Awful. The debate was terrible. It was in really bad faith. No point was directly addressed ever. He kept going back to these 4 points of why Eren did the rumbling that were somehow all contingent on each other. Makes absolutely no sense. If one reason is good enough, then what the fuck? Do it. Like, oh my, that was the most frustrating part. Like, because anything Saint said, he would relay back to these 4 points being contingent on each other. And then Saint just brought up the best fucking analogy I ever heard in my life. He's like, if I wanted to take, like, a trip to Mexico, and I had 4 reasons for wanting to do so: cheap flight, cheap hotel, I don't know, want to try the food, and then who knows, like, maybe he has family there, right? Cheap hotel, cheap flight, food, family, right? If you have a cheap hotel, that's a good reason to go, like, in itself. You know, let's say you're housing free. Good ass reason to go. I only have to pay for my flight, and I still get the food, and I still get, you know, that's a good ass reason to go by itself. You know, let's say the hotel wasn't free or cheap. Free flight. That's a good enough fucking reason to go. This guy is saying that, like, Aaron did the rumble. I should have wrote down his 4 points, because he wanted his friends to live long lives. What? Probably that he just wanted to rumble anyway. His idea of freedom is a blank slate. And then he tried to argue that if one of those things weren't there, he wouldn't have done the rumbling. So him killing his friends would make no sense, because, you know, wanting a blank slate isn't a strong enough reason for him. What the fuck? Hello? And then if he wanted a blank slate, wouldn't that make more sense for him to finish the rumbling? Oh, God, I can't. And he's saying, like, oh, no, because then his friends would die. How? If he wants his friends to be alive and he wants a blank slate, if he wanted all 4 of those things, he would have trapped his friends in paths or something, or did something to make his wish come true. He has the founding fucking Titan. He would have pulled some strings to make all 4 of his wishes come true, if that's what he wanted. So I'm confused at how he thinks Aaron thinks he succeeded. Then the mental gymnastics were so well stretched, right? So bendy, so flexible, that I couldn't even fucking put together. If he, you know, if he agrees that Ymir and Aaron are working together, I couldn't even put that together. Like, but yeah, the most flexible mental gymnastics I ever heard in my life. Like, I still, to this day, it's only been a day, but I still don't know what he thought about Ymir and Aaron working together. Anyways, these are my thoughts on the debate. I think it was an L. I think it was an L for Cactus, because I don't think he ever participated in the debate to begin with. He was telling a story. He was reading 1500s scroll of Japanese haikus. Literally anybody on the planet will tell you that, like, fucking Attack on Titan has influence from Western media, from the Avengers, from Nordic mythology, from Game of Thrones, yet we somehow didn't understand the story, and somehow the nuances in the story are more important than the literal meaning of the story that's laid out. Saint said it best. The what the fuck did he say? The symbolism, the metaphors, all of that shit means nothing if it's not grounded in substance. Did you guys know that I was a double major in writing? I was a fucking double major, and I got a fucking A in both of my 400 level writing classes. But anyway, so in my class, this girl, she wrote this story about, you know, this woman. This woman gave birth to this character, the main character, and she named the baby Cricket. So the character Cricket grows up, and she doesn't speak up for herself. You know, I guess the whole meaning behind the mom naming her Cricket is her, you know, she grows up and her voice is soft as a cricket. She never speaks up for herself, whatever. Cool. So the whole story is this car ride. They're just driving in this car, and I don't know, there's this altercation between the girl in the passenger seat and Cricket, who's in the back seat. And so they're just going back and forth, and, like, I don't know, Cricket's like, oh, you're a whore or whatever, you're a slut, da-da-da, right? And there's a car accident. And the 2 people, and the girl she was arguing with and the driver, they both die, like, on sight. And Cricket is thrown out of the car, and she lives. So at the end of the story, crickets chirp. And Cricket, like, hitchhikes home or something like that, right? So something my writing professor said to that student was, okay, the symbolism is great here. It's good, right? Cricket, you know, she doesn't speak up for herself. That's good. What is the point of the crickets chirping at the end of the story? Like, what? Like, I get what you're doing here. You know, you're trying to make it end. It started with Cricket. It ends with Cricket. But what is the point of the crickets chirping at the end? Now, this is where an Invaders fan or a Cactus fan would be like, it's symbolism! For what? What is it symbolism for? What are the crickets at the end? What is that? Like, what? Okay, Okay, we get it. It's nice. Cricket. Her name is Cricket because she doesn't stand up for herself. That's amazing. Why are there crickets chirping at the end of the story? What is the symbolism there? What is the point? And so this is my gripe with this whole it's symbolism argument.
The girl in my class couldn't even answer that question, what were the crickets for at the end? It's literally just, it's symbolism.
Just because it's symbolism does not mean it's good. Now, in that girl's story, if crickets were chirping while she was arguing with the friend in the car, that would have been powerful. Yes, I have a small voice, but I'm going to stand up for myself. As she's talking, maybe there's a cricket in the car. A cricket's chirping. You're a whore. You're a slut, and I don't like you. Then the car crashes. Then cricket walks off. Bam. Good story. But just to have crickets at the end, just for the sake of having crickets, because the character's name is Cricket, because reasons, it's not good. So, a bird, a scarf, whatever the fuck, it's not good. Japanese poetry, cool. Metaphors, nice. What does it mean? Why? Just because it's there doesn't mean it's good. It's not good writing. Just because there's a cricket at the beginning of the story doesn't mean that there has to be a cricket at the end of the story for the story to be good. And just because there's a cricket at the beginning of the story doesn't mean that the cricket at the end of the story makes sense. And that's what my professor was saying to that girl. And that's what I'm saying to you about this story. The bird wrapping the scarf. What is it? Oh, it's a metaphor. It's not really Aaron. Then what is it? What is it a metaphor for? For Aaron always wrapping the scarf? So is the bird Aaron? What? Like, I can't do it. But anyways, that's all I thought about this fucking thing. That's all I thought. In closing, I just wanted to say Aaron did not free the pigs. The mystery remains, as Isayama said, so you can't make sense of the story without headcanon, or else you're arguing with the author himself. And, yeah, that's pretty much it. This debate, quote, was not a debate. It was an L for one side, and a confusion for the other. Like, we don't know what that was a different story he was talking about, like, dead ass. Anyways, goodbye. Comment, like, subscribe, the whole thing. I'm out of here. Whatever.